This is really the best way to get a proper exposure. But in certain situations, I may work with the Kelvin temperature, and that I may set anywhere between 5100 and 5500, depending on the situation. But today we're going to go ahead and do a custom gray balance. Okay, let's pretend like we're setting up a shot. Now our subject is going to be in this nice little comfy chair. Now it's getting darker out here, so I'm first going to test my ambient light. Right now, we are at a 60th of a second at 4:0. That's a good starting point, considering that we're in the late afternoon. So 60th of a second at 4:0. I'm going to go ahead and switch with my Sekonic meter. I'm able to fire the lights remotely. So it's also 60th of a second at 4:0. So I know that I need to turn down my light. So I'm going to hit the set button and then go down. And that should work. Remember, it's going down in 1/3 stop increments. Perfect. So I went 3 clicks down, and we're right about where we need to be. So now you can see the setup. From the camera angle, now I may move back and forth, but my flash is about 45 degrees off of my subject. Now typically when I'm working with a flash, I'm going to put my flash about 45 degrees off, and it's going to be just slightly above my subject. So right about there. And then sometimes I will tilt the flash down so that the shadow, as the light comes in, any shadow area is going to be pushed down. A lot of times I see in a lot of work, even in my own work, when I don't have my flash set right, and let's say a subject's here and I have a big flash over in this area. I want to eliminate that, so I'm going to go slightly higher, angle the flash down, and that's going to push all of those shadows down to the bottom. So I think we're pretty much good to go. We've got the light set up, we've metered everything, everything's good to go. The last thing I want to do is do a custom white balance, because that ensures that the color is going to be perfect. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so you kind of get the idea there of how to use the flash, and that applies to any type of flash that you have. Those rules apply to all of them. And as I said, I'm switching to the Canon flashes, but I would shoot it the same way. The biggest thing I want you to think about is off-camera flash. As portrait artists, we never have the flash on the camera. Now, I know there's some amazing shooters out there, I could name 5 right now, that shoot on-camera flash, but what they've done is they've trained themselves to create the perfect little fill flash. So they're just, basically they're exposing 1 to 2 stops under with the flash, so it's just a pop of fill. But no matter what they do with on-camera flash, the way the catch light's going to go, where that point in the catch light is going to go, if you're shooting straight off the camera, it's going to be dead center. It's going to be targeted right in the center of the eyes. And catch lights are really important in creating depth. A good catch light should land at the 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock position. The catch light would be here or here. And so in order to do that, that 45-degree angle off of either side is going to give you that. Now, that doesn't always work. In fact, one of my very favorite lighting styles, and I wish I would have put it in here, we call it 6 o'clock lighting, and we take reflectors and go, especially with high school seniors, it's a glamour type lighting. We go with a big old reflector right up under their chin, and of course it's very glamorous, very flat, bright eyes, but the catch lights are actually long and skinny at the bottom of the eye. That is absolutely technically wrong as far as portrait style, but it's beautiful, and it's a hot seller. So of course the rules are made to be broken, and you just need to know the rules, and then you need to figure out why they exist before you decide to do something else. But you're never going to want that flash in the eye, deer in the headlights, you know, big old pupils with big white dots in the middle of them. Another thing that you can't control are catch lights where they land. Technically, portrait quality, you should have 1 catch light, so a lot of times you'll have 2 reflective surfaces and you'll get 2. In our portrait work, we do remove the second catch light. It's something that it just defines the eyes more. Depending on the situation, if we feel like it adds to it, we leave it. It's one of those things, if I were entering print competition, I know I should eliminate it. If I wasn't, then it might look beautiful. It might add color and depth to the eyes. So now let's talk about high-speed sync, because high-speed sync, this is something that right when it really got popular, there were a couple companies that came out that were producing high-speed sync tools, receivers and transmitters, and first I didn't even touch it because it was all wedding photographers doing this amazing stuff. And A, I'm jealous of all wedding photographers because they do amazing stuff. And B, I know what it takes to make that happen. Currently, my version at that point of wasn't high-speed sync is if I wanted that really edgy look, that fashion look, that Sports Illustrated look, it was a super big reflector and right out in the middle of the sun and just blast it at that subject and blind them, literally. It would be, okay, close your eyes, 1, 2, 3. You know, and they'd open up and then they'd blink down, and you know, you had to shoot 15 shots to get one where they weren't looking like they were, you know, like completely stuck in the face. But that's how those, you know, that's how those magazine shots were created. And obviously time of day is important. If I could shoot everything at 7 p.m. Colorado time in the summer, oh my gosh, I'd have neutral, beautiful amber skin tones and absolutely glowy bodies and gorgeous sunsets. But I shoot at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. So when I'm outside, 3, 4, 5. So when I'm outside at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's the single worst time to be outside in Colorado. I don't have a choice. If I want that glamour look, I've got to park somebody in the middle of a field with a giant reflector and blind them. So I learned to work around that. And honestly, I learned for the most part, especially with little kids' work, just to avoid it altogether. It just wasn't going to be an option. So when I was testing these different options, this is pre-Canon, I finally saw some things I thought this maybe would work for kids, because one of the things I've always wanted was that super vibrant blue sky with that bright sunny feel with like a 6-month-old or a 1-year-old running through green grass, blue sky. I mean, I have visions of what I'd want to do with it, but you know, blasting a light in a child's eye just didn't seem appropriate, so I kind of avoided it. So when I saw these things, I thought, I'm going to go test it. Now, this next session that I'm going to show you, it's really funny because this is one of my first tests with different product lines, and I was so excited. I'd played enough with it that I knew it would work, and I planned the model session. It was a set of twins. They were, I think, maybe three or four, and they were just adorable. And I was going to do the two of them together, like a simple chair pose, and then I was going to do her in this little fluffy skirt and an umbrella, and then I had this vision of him in this, this little airplane, and you know, it's just going to be amazing. Well, of course, to do this, I wanted to show my students, because all of these videos we produce are for my SPU students, and so I wanted to show the worst case scenario. So I called mom and I said, you know, I know your kids came in recently. I'd love to use them as models. And she said, great. She said, what time? And I said, 1 o'clock. She's like, oh, that's right in the middle of nap time. And I said, perfect. That's worst case scenario. Let's do it. And so, you know, she agrees to do this. She brings the kids out, and this is one of those days that I would cancel a day like this. It was over 100 degrees outside, and I would never, ever shoot in that. I would never put somebody through that. Unfortunately, it just exhausts everybody, the photographer, the kids, they're melty. It just wasn't a thing. But this was the only day I could do it because the people I was testing the equipment had flown in to do this. And so, of course, I tell mom we're going to bring water, we're going to have popsicles, you know, in a cooler, and we're just going to get this thing done. And so, we show up, it's 1 o'clock, and we got out of our cars, and it was instant, just dry, horrible heat, and I'm thinking, this is nuts. So we haul everything up, and we're sweating bullets, and we start with the two kids, and what I said is, keep the kids in the air-conditioned car, you're going to haul them up the hill, and we're going to catch them, and then you're going to take them back down to the car and cool them off, and then we're going to haul them back up the hill. And so we got the two kids, we got them up, we did the chair shot, awesome, I mean, they did pretty well. And then we took them back down, and then I brought the little girl up, and we did her little session, and she did pretty well. Well, now we're way into nap time. And so by the time our little guy comes up, he is literally, I can see them. You'll kind of see it in the video. Mom's got him, and he's coming up the hill. And when he came up, you could see in his eyes, he had those really heavy, kind of like you guys have. You're falling asleep here. Boring. No, they had really heavy eyes, and he kept laying down. He was like asleep, basically. He was in La La Land. And he's walking up the hill, and honestly, it just dawned on me as he's walking up the hill, I'm standing there holding a bomber jacket thinking, oh, this is going to work. I'm going to ask this kid to put a coat on. You know, it's 103 degrees outside. So as he's walking up the hill, I'm just imagining this is going to be a disaster. And he gets up there, and I was like, you know, sweetie, I was like, will you put this coat on? And he looks at me, and he goes, but why? And I'm like, because I'm the biggest jerk ever. I'm so mean. I just felt horrible. I just didn't even want to do it to him. So it's funny because when you see this, well, it looks like a cute shot. He is so angry at me here. He wouldn't even look. He was literally sweat pouring down. He's got this hat on and this, you know, this jacket on, and I tried to be as quick as I can, but you'll see it in the video. He is not happy with me. But this was the vision I had. I mean, I wanted to show this is, and we're going to talk you through it on the video. So I'll let the video play and I'll explain the final outcome.
So we are outside now, and we have picked the absolute worst time in the world to shoot. We are outside with no coverage whatsoever. It's 1 o'clock. It is blazing hot out here, but that's the whole point of this exercise. We want to show you how really how difficult or how you can handle difficult lighting situations and master them. So today we've actually set everything up already. We're using 2 flashes because we've got so much light, and if you want to explain a little bit about why we're doing that, that would probably be good.
Well, we're going to be shooting around for a while today, and when you have this much light outside and you're trying to overcome the sun with flash, you're going to be hard on your batteries. And so we got 2 flashes going at the same time on one little mount, just to make it a little bit easier on our batteries, so we can get a little bit longer through the shoot.
Good. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the settings real quick. We're at ISO 100 because we've got a ton of light out here. We're shooting at 2,000th of a second, so this is where high-speed sync becomes very, very magical. And right now our aperture is at 4.0. I'm going to go ahead and start the session, and then somewhere in the middle of the session I hope to remember to actually change the shutter speed down. We're going to change the aperture up. We're going to stop down the aperture, and so that we can show you the difference between having everything in focus and having everything out of focus. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, let's get our models in here. All right, you two, look right here and just say, boo! Hey, and can you hold hands? Just hold hands up front. Kind of looks like you're choking her. Ready? Look right here and say, you're crazy. I'm not crazy. Good job. And Daniel, Jordan, scoot back a little bit. And there you go. Hold on to the chair. Both of you hold on to the chair. Can you hold on to the back of the chair with 2 hands?
Can you do what Jordan's doing here?
Yeah, just like that. There you go. Look right here, and I want you to say, roar! Ah! You guys are scary. Now, can you look over at Nick over there and say, hi, Nick? Good. One more. Where's Nick? Is he going to get you? Got it. That's awesome.
He is so mad. Look at him. I'm like, yeah, put this on too.
It's like Ralphie's gonna put on the bunny suit.
That's exactly what it was.
But I don't wanna.
All right, so you're right. That is like Ralphie in the bunny suit. He looks the same thing. But to go from a horrible, hot, miserable lighting conditions, you know, if there were no flash involved there, he would be as dark as dark. In order to get that blue sky blue, he would be a silhouette at this point. So that flash is coming in from the side. There are actually 2 heads. And you did see a flash on my camera. I want to make sure you know that at the time, that was the transmitter. That's what was transmitting, but it was not, there was no flash coming out of it. The 2 that were at the side, it took 2 flashes to actually create enough power to balance out that sky. And so what I hope you caught with high-speed sync, and the difference for a lot of you that don't know what high-speed sync is the ability flashes originally to sync a flash, meaning it fired the same time your shutter curtain opened and closed. We had a range, the best out there was up to 250, but most flashes, old school flashes, you could go between 60th and 1/25th of a second. So if it was super bright, you could not push enough light through to do that. So high-speed sync gave you the ability to sync the curtain on the back of the camera so that you could shoot at 2,000th of a second and the flash would hit it at that right point. So you can see there's a strong flash on the mask of his face. You can see where that light's coming in from the side. That is the light that's balancing out. And to be able to be out, not that I'd put a kid in a coat again in the middle of 100-degree weather, but to be able to have the idea and the concept of capturing something like this in a bright sunny day. Previous to this, that would have been a big old reflector blasting in his face, and it just would not have had the same impact. This, by the way, if you saw the Bellies and Baby show, that is the same hill I marched my kids up and tried to get. This is the shot I wanted of my kids. And this is the second time in my life I've been up there. The first time I tried, you can see, I drive, my house is directly below this hill. This is what I see every night of my life coming home, and it is just breathtaking. That's the Rocky Mountains back there, but The first time I did it with my own children, they killed it for me. I didn't go back for, what, 5 or 6 years, because I had to have therapy before then. But I've always wanted this shot. I've always wanted to use that. And even though it's not my own children, it's just something that I'm very proud of it, because now it's kind of opened up a new door. So I can be out shooting all the time. So high-speed sync is definitely something that if you're shooting in tough times is great for weddings. Now opened the door for children's work. And on tour, I'm on the bus with these guys. I'm a good shooter and certainly understand lighting. I cannot wait to pick their